Failure. It's one of those words we hear often, but we rarely want to experience. For most of us, failure feels like a roadblock. It feels like the end of the journey, the point where we've hit rock bottom and there's no way out. But the reality is, failure isn't the end. It's just a part of the process. It's a stepping stone, a checkpoint, a reminder that you're on the right path. Because without it, you wouldn't be able to grow. So let's take a moment to reflect on that. When we set out to accomplish something, we often imagine a straight line. We picture ourselves walking confidently towards our goals, no hiccups, no detours. But life, as we all know, doesn't work like that. It's full of turns, bumps, and obstacles we never saw coming. You might work tirelessly towards something, put in hours, months, even years of effort, and then, when you least expect it, things just fall apart. That's failure. But failure doesn't mean that you've reached the end. It just means you found a new beginning. I met someone, and at first, I wasn't sure where things would go. It wasn't an instant connection, and I almost even didn't send the message that first time. I debated, wondering if it would be awkward, wondering if I'd be left unread. And when I did send the message, that's exactly what happened. For what felt like forever, I was just waiting. And when they finally responded, we talked. It felt like maybe this could work. But that's the thing about connections. They aren't always smooth, even when you really want it to be. We stopped talking more than once. We had moments where things went quiet, where we seemed to drift apart, and every time we stopped, I felt like maybe that was it. Maybe it wasn't meant to be. But then, out of nowhere, we come back to each other. Message here, a conversation there. But with every pause, every restart, I started to realize that sometimes failure doesn't look like we think it does. Sometimes it's not the end. It's just a space we need to gather ourselves, to reflect, and find our way back to what's important. There was a time where I thought that everything was just slipping through my fingers. We were distant again, and I thought, this is it, it's over. I put myself out there, and it didn't work. But the truth is, if I'd stopped trying, if I'd given up during those pauses, I would have missed out on something real. I would have missed out on the chance to understand what we really had, and maybe, more importantly, what I could learn about myself in the process. Because every time we come back, I learn something new. Not just about the other person, but about how I approach relationships, how I approach these situations, and how I see failure. But more importantly, how I handle these setbacks. If I'm being honest, I could have walked away after every single time things went silent. And after every time I thought failure was just around the corner, I could have told myself that it wasn't worth it, that it wasn't going to work, and moved on. But I didn't. And that's where growth happens. Sometimes it's not about the perfect moments. Sometimes it's about learning to keep going when things feel off track. Even when you don't know where it's heading. You just have to trust that the journey is worth it. Here's the truth. If we had given up on that first silence, if we hadn't kept coming back to each other, we wouldn't be here now. We wouldn't have the bond that we do. Every time we stopped talking, I thought we were failing, but we weren't. We were just learning more about each other and about ourselves. So here's the moral. Failure isn't always a sign to stop. Sometimes it's just the beginning of something deeper, something stronger. You can't know what you'll learn or where you'll end up if you don't keep trying. And just like that, the connection I thought was slipping away became one of the most important parts of my life. So, the next time you face failure, remember this. It's not the end. It's a reminder to keep going, to keep believing, and to keep trusting the process. Don't let a setback convince you that it's over. Because sometimes the best things in life come after you think you failed. You have to keep moving forward, even when it seems like the road is never going to be clear. So keep going, live your life, because failure isn't the end. It's just another step on the way to something greater.